This is Robert Margolacci, the Mindshare Report, founder of the Mindshare Workspace and Mindshare Learning Technology. I'm here with Kazi Jamil, who is the founder of eCanuks Global. He is an innovation coach and mentor. And congratulations on the launch of eCanuks Global, Kazi. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you. Yes, eCanuks Global is a platform which enables people to innovate and to launch their websites, their e-commerce platform, register their company, get some legal advice, get some financials if they're looking at funding. So it's a platform to raise funding also. And I'm really thankful to you, Rob, because I remember back in 2017, we came over. It was like a very casual visit.
That's right.
And then we were here, and then from there onwards, on 21st of December, it's been a great journey for past 1 year.
Well, we're thrilled to have you as members of the Mindshare Workspace and the community that's evolved. And it's really about people and making those connections and leveraging the expertise and knowledge of our members. And we quickly found synergies amongst the two of us and what you're working on, and with Lingo Media and the mobile app technology. Perhaps you could talk a little bit about that as well. That's emerging in the not too distant future.
Absolutely. So, as an innovation coach, so people normally ask that why do you want to innovate, or who wants to innovate? So, literally, in nowadays, the technology being so strong. Rob being an expert himself, so he gets probably every second day somebody's pitching something to Rob. So he always keeps on eavesdropping on what new technology Rob is looking at today. So, but
every day is a learning day.
Every day is a learning day. But what happens is that if you're a large company or you're an individual, anybody can literally innovate. We live in an era of innovation. So it can be innovation through technology, it can be innovation through having a creative idea, or it can be innovation within your company. So we call it an intra-innovation. So for example, Lingo. Lingo is a great company, it does language training, but they want to innovate and extend this service onto the mobile medium, right? So that's the internal innovation which is happening. Now the CEO is leading that innovation, you as being on the board is leading that innovation. And then obviously, then there has to be a culture around the company to enable employees to start helping them to innovate. And obviously, when you innovate, normally, sometimes it backfires also. So you should have the culture of taking the risk, and have the culture of actually getting up, understanding what you did right, what you did wrong, and then move on.
Well, thank you for that, Kazi. And innovation is really not necessarily just about technology either. It's about making things better, improving, tweaking, keeping that, we call it the Innovators mindset. It's that growth mindset of, always enhancing a little bit, like we have here at the Mindshare Workspace. We're introducing an incubation program for startups. So first year one, we wanted to get our feet rooted here at the Mindshare Workspace and develop strategic partnerships and outreach to the community, business community, education community, with government, and we achieved that. Now the next phase is to really help startups in collaboration with you, and perhaps you can talk a little bit about who needs to innovate.
So as an innovation coach, and we'll be having this very informal conversation, we'll have a series of innovation coaching conversations. So the interesting part is that the average age of a successful startup has actually gone up by 3 years over a period of past 1 year. So it's around 45 years. It's not 18 or 19, right? So, So the interesting part is that whoever is innovating, he or she has some prior experience, maybe a prior experience in a corporate agency, or having an entrepreneur wants to reinvent itself, or they may be a business owner who is a brick and mortar business owner, wants to leverage technology to increase the business. So from an individual to somebody who, in Canada, we have this culture because we have a huge immigration population which is coming in. So if you come into Canada, then you rethink your career. So that is one aspect of innovation.
Absolutely.
Then there are companies which need to innovate, otherwise they would not survive. So there's innovation within the company which is happening. Even tech companies need to innovate because their life cycle is very, very short. So they need to innovate over a period of time. So literally, from an individual to a small and medium-sized enterprise or to a corporate agency, everybody needs to start innovating. And innovating can be, you can say that it's the newer version of business development.
That's a great analogy. And you know, when we innovated the concept of the Mindshare workspace, you know, we did our homework. And doing your homework is important, and networking. But it takes time to build culture. Perhaps you can talk about the innovation culture, because the large organizations, a lot of them tend to struggle. And there was a great book that I once read, and I interviewed the co-author, Dr. Johnson, and it was Disrupting Class. In order to innovate, you got to start separate yourself from the large organization, because you can't be tied to all the stringent regulations and policies, and sometimes you have to break some rules and you know, set yourself apart as a separate kind of little entity, if you will, and incubator of sorts.
So as an individual, I'll answer this question in two phases.
Yes.
First, as an individual. So as an individual, what you need to do is that you need to interact. You may be an expert in finance, you may be an expert in engineering, but you need to network. You need to come to places like Mindshare, interact, talk to people, bounce around your ideas, where you can find a synergy as far as team is concerned. So always look beyond your network, because within your network, maybe the mindset might be the same.
Right.
So if you look beyond the network, I'm always a firm believer that, you know, if you look beyond the network, then you will find new avenues. And as a company, you're absolutely right. So what happens is everybody is in the daily grind. Now,
right.
You know, they are, it's 9 to 5, 9 to 5:30, so they don't have time to innovate. So it needs to start from the top. So either it's the head of the department, it's the CEO, it's the innovation coach, or sometimes an external consultant actually comes in, and you bring in some key stakeholders. They come in and they form a small, very concentrated unit. Mm-hmm. And what they do is that they actually then start this innovation process, which may be once a week meeting, which may be once a month session, and then that innovation starts. And normally it starts with some kind of a problem. You have a problem in the organization.
Right.
You have an issue in the organization, and that needs to be addressed. And the key addressing that should be through innovation. So it has to be top-driven.
Right.
There have to be room, time, consistency as far as the organization is concerned. Then only the innovation culture is going to actually prosper.
Thank you so much with that, Kazi. So, you know, we're redefining the future work and learning in the Mindshare workspace, and we have companies from various sectors, consultants, and that is where the synergy lies. And I meet a lot of startups coming in, and that's certainly a growing area that we're seeing. And it's also, you know, we've got millennials here from, you know, newest one is from York University Schulich School of Business, who's creating a company to make seniors live more comfortably through AI, which is fascinating. So, it helps us keep us young when we're surrounded by millennials. But we also have baby boomers who have done their 25, 30 years in industry and are, you know, thought leaders and have immense expertise who are starting up as well. So, and everyone in between. So, it is a process to start innovating and company leaders, amongst company leaders and individuals. So perhaps you can tell us about the process and inspire some to think about creating their next gig and starting a business, and you make it pretty seamless and easy to do that.
Absolutely. So like I'll talk about a couple of my clients. So two of the clients, these are people who've been working a 9-to-5 job, but they've been living with this urge of doing something on their own. And one of the companies is looking at making home chefs, right? And the person is actually in technology, works for a bank, but is looking at innovation as far as, because they felt the need, because they're looking at getting home cooked meals, which are not
Right.
readily available everywhere. They're sick and tired of eating restaurant meals.
Right.
So there was this urge,
Right.
which when he came in and discussed it with me, so we created that urge into an opportunity.
Fantastic.
So yeah, so we actually then went ahead and looked at the possibilities. We did some numbers, we did some technology, and now hopefully within Mindshare, we're going to launch that portal in February. So
Well, that sounds exciting. Anytime we talk about food, I'm a big fan. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
and we have our Friday feast once a month, which is always very popular because it's very international, and people have conversations around food,
Absolutely.
and it brings people together.
Absolutely.
So that sounds like a real winner. I'm excited
Yeah,
about that
absolutely.
one.
And then we have organizations who are looking at doing non-traditional sales, who are looking at reaching out to much more wider network of customers, and then we build an innovation strategy where the entire internal culture needs to change. They need to be more concentrating more on content, more on customer interactions, and reinvent themselves, right? So whatever they're doing a brilliant job, but they need to set the pace, because they are market leaders. But they won't be market leaders for long if they don't set the new precedent as far as setting up the interaction, imaging, content, and all these things. Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's where you come into play. Innovation is the key, because things don't stay the same. We have to keep that innovator's mindset and make product improvements, tweaks, what have you. Well, with that, thank you so much, Kazi, for your time this afternoon. And this is the first in this series of innovation coaching, and courtesy of Kazi Jamil, the innovation coach and mentor and founder of eCanuks Global. My name is Robert Mardelanchi of the Mindshare Workspace, and until next time, keep the learning curve steep.
Thank you. Thank you.